Hi everyone, and welcome to the third webinar of our series. And this one we have dedicated to accommodation, self-isolation, airport orientation and enrolment. So a big hello to everybody from around the world, and thank you for tuning in with us today. My name is Niamh Kavanagh and I'm part of the international office at the University of Limerick, and two of my colleagues from the International Education Division are also joining me, which is Catherine Martin and Sarah Butler. And then we have Evie, who's here from the UL Accommodation office. So all three of my colleagues are available throughout the presentation for Q&As. So if you have any questions throughout, just pop them into the chat function and my colleagues will get back to you, and we'll also cover the Q&A at the end of the presentation. So I'm really delighted to be able to chat to you a little bit more and give you a little bit of information about accommodation and what to expect when you arrive in Ireland, and especially given everything that we're all going through around the world with COVID-19. And speaking of COVID-19, before I do start the presentation, I hope that you are all keeping well and keeping safe, which is really, really important. Now, so to start off with, I'm just going to give you a quick little information about the university. Bear with me now, my slides are a little bit slow on the system. There we go. So at the university, we pride ourselves on making sure that we have outstanding supports for international students. We are #1 in the world for international student support, and this is really, really important to us. And one big thing that we really want to make sure, given the circumstances that we face with COVID-19, is that you get the best experience you possibly can, both academically and non-academically. And that's why we wanted to present to you a little bit about how accommodation will look and other factors for this coming September with everything that's happening around the world with COVID-19. So just for those of you that may not have tuned in on some of our other webinars, we just have a little bit of a slide to give you some information of where Ireland is and how well we've been doing with COVID-19 and the steps that we've taken. So at the moment, we're on what we refer to as phase 3 of our return to reopening the country on the COVID-19 roadmap that the government introduced. We were hoping to move to phase 4 next week, but that's actually been pushed out for another 3 weeks because we're not ready yet for that. And the Irish government and the Irish people have worked really hard in trying to suppress the virus and flatten the curve. We're all getting used to this new language of flattening the curve and everything like that. And so we're in a really good position, and we've really flattened the curve since we went into lockdown last March, and we're continuing to do so and taking special measures in place to make sure that everybody in Ireland is safe, that our students are safe at the University of Limerick, and that we make sure that you are kept as healthy and safe as possible during your experience when you come to study with us. So you can find out all about the different levels and phases that we're in Ireland on www.gov.ie. Okay, if anybody wants to go and check it out, you can see what the Irish government have planned. And we also have information up on the UL website. If you go www.ul.ie, you'll see all of our COVID responses and everything like that and what we have planned for everybody. But the best thing about phase 3 is we are allowed to get out and socialise and interact, and sports is beginning to come back, and coffee shops have reopened and restaurants and stuff. So it's really nice, and we're beginning to get back to what will be the new normal, which everybody keeps talking about. So taking that into consideration, and obviously a lot of you have concerns around travel and travelling to Ireland especially. So under the COVID-19 regulations by the Irish government, international student education, so if you're coming to Ireland to study, it's deemed as essential travel. So you will be permitted to travel to us. Okay, so you'll be able to book your flights and come with all the correct paperwork, and you'll be getting emails about that over the coming weeks. And anybody that joined in on the last 2 presentations would have heard about that as well. And you can catch up on those last 2 webinars on our YouTube channel. But the big thing is that you will be asked to self-isolate for 14 days. Okay, the self-isolation is going to be key for everybody after you've completed the travel into Ireland. And we're putting special measures in place for you, and I'll mention a little bit more about that on the next couple of slides. But traveling to Ireland, you're allowed travel. If for any reason you can't get a flight or you have restrictions in your home country, what we'll do is that we'll organise for you to start your programme online. And then when you're able to travel, you'll travel to us, you'll isolate for 14 days while continuing your programme online. And then when you're ready, you'll be able to join your class. Okay, so don't panic. We've all sorts of different plans in place for those different scenarios. So just keep into contact with us and keep us updated. If you have any issues of getting flights out of your home country to Ireland, we'll be able to work with you on that. All right, really important. But the big important key dates are the 12th and 13th of September. So for any students on the call that are starting their program on the 28th of September, it's really important that you arrive in Ireland either on the 12th or 13th of September in order for you to be able to complete your 14 days self-isolation. Okay, that's a really, really, really important part of the whole thing. And once again, as I said, if you do arrive a little bit later due to flight delays or something like that, you will self-isolate and then join your class. But if you can at all, those are the key weekends. All right. And then when you arrive at the airport, so once again, going back to how important it is for us to provide really strong support to our international students. When you arrive into Dublin or Shannon, you will be met by a team from UL. So we will have representatives at the airport there to help you with getting transport down from Dublin Airport or getting in from Shannon Airport. So that's going to be really, really important. And we're going to be sending information to you about that in the next couple of weeks. So there will be emails sent from us and our accommodation office with Evie and the team there as to different structures that we'll have in place for when you arrive at the airport. And Sarah will also be sending communication out from the international office on that as well. All right, so don't panic if some of the questions you have aren't being answered today. We will be sending it out by email over the next couple of weeks. And once again, you can see there, I have the really important key dates, the 12th and 13th of September and the self-isolation period. And now that we're talking about self-isolation, okay, these are the guidelines from the Irish government as the do's and don'ts and what self-isolation means. So self-isolation means you stay indoors and completely avoid contact with other people, okay? Behavior of the virus is that it spreads with interactions and stuff like that. So and if you have any symptoms at all of the virus, you have to just completely lock yourself in your room and ring us and we'll organise for testing and everything like that and medical help. But the most important thing is that you stay at home in a room with an open window. Keep away from others in the home as much as possible. Okay. Check that if you have any symptoms, call a doctor. Don't go phone a doctor or phone somebody in the accommodation or the international office straight away. Wash your hands on a regular basis. Don't touch your face. Travel with a mask. Okay. I would recommend that. It's really, really important. Use your own towels, everything like that, and just make sure that you keep everything cleaned down very well while you're in that self-isolation period. Don't go outside unless you have your own outdoor space. So at the university, just once again, stay in your room, stay in your apartment for the 14 days. It's really important. Like the self-isolation, I really cannot highlight enough how important it really is. And then if you want to read up more on it, this presentation will be sent out and I've got a link down on the bottom, Government of Ireland self-isolation regulations. You can go on and check them out and read about them. And we're going to have loads of fun stuff for you to do and other elements like that. Now, I'm going to pass you over to my colleague Evie now, and she's going to go through the on-campus accommodation and what to expect and everything like that. And then I'll come back to you and finish off with a little bit around self-isolation off campus for any students staying off campus. But I would recommend, if you still haven't found your accommodation yet, to please contact our accommodation office and book on campus, because it's, you know, we have availability and we just have some extra things that you can avail of if you stay on campus. All right, so Evie, I'm going to pass it over to you. Just give me 2 seconds now. There we go. Evie, you're live there. You can chat away. I'll move the slide for you now.
So hi everyone, and thanks for coming to the webinar today. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about self-isolation when you're living on campus. And when I talk about living on campus, I mean our 7 villages. So that includes Grudy and Troy villages, which are sometimes referred to as off campus because technically they are off the campus, but they are included in this, and everyone in the 7 villages is treated the same. So when you arrive from the airport, you get checked into your apartment, and we will have full procedures sent to you before your arrival for contact-free check-in, and you will 100% know where to go and what to do by the time you arrive. So there is no need to worry about any of that. If you are living on campus for the academic year, for the semester, the cost of accommodation for your first 14 days, so that would be, as Niamh was saying, from your arrival weekend up to when you begin classes, the cost of that is free. The only thing you have to pay for is your meals, and we would have a meal plan or grocery delivery, which I'll talk about in a moment. If you've decided to live off campus for the semester or for the year, but your landlord maybe cannot accommodate you for the 14-day self-isolation period, you can still stay on campus. You can pay to stay on campus, and all you have to do is send us an email. We'll put you in touch with our reservations team, and we'll facilitate your 14-day self-isolation, even if you haven't booked with us for the academic year. So in terms of support then, some of you may be wondering about how you'll be supported when you're self-isolating. Obviously, when you're coming to a new country for the first time, being told you have to stay in your apartment for 14 days can be very daunting. But all of our 7 residences have a village management team that will maintain regular contact with you by phone and email, just to ensure that all of your health and safety needs are met. So the option then for meals is that we will, if you want to join a meal delivery plan, you can. So in your apartment, you will have kitchen facilities. So if you want to cook, you can do that. You'll have to arrange to get grocery delivery. Now, as Niamh was saying, you can't leave your apartment, so you can't just go to the supermarket. There are a variety of online retailers that will deliver groceries to your apartment for you. And we in the village teams will help facilitate that as best as we can for you, and help drop things off to your apartment. But we are also offering the option of a meal delivery plan. So this would be your breakfast, lunch and dinner delivered to your apartment every day, and it would be a cost of €25 per day. So we'll send you information on how to book the meal plan if you're interested in it before you arrive. You will have to opt into it, so it won't be automatic. If we don't hear from you that you would like to join the meal plan, then we will presume that you have set up a facility to get your own groceries. The one thing to keep in mind with getting groceries delivered, I suppose, is that while you will have access to the common areas in your apartments, there will be a limited access because we'll only be recommending that one person can go into the common areas at a time. So you'll have to liaise with your housemates when you arrive. I suppose times that you can enter the kitchen, because we just wouldn't recommend the 2 of you are in there at the same time while you're self-isolating. While you're self-isolating as well, the village management team is on call every day. Campus security is also on call if reception is closed. And as I said, we will send you complete pre-arrival information before you even get to the country, so that you know exactly what to expect and what to do when you arrive, so we can make your self-isolation period as smooth as possible. So I'm going to hand you back over to Niamh now, and if you have any more questions about accommodation, you can pop them in the Q&A and I'll try my best to answer them at the end.
Fabulous. Thank you, Evie, for that. For anyone that hasn't booked accommodation, I would highly recommend living on campus if you can. What they do is phenomenal, and how they look after the students in terms of all the extra supports and some of the stuff that Evie didn't mention is after the self-isolation period, they do fun activities throughout the year. They do loads of different activities. I like to kind of describe it as, if you think of Harry Potter and how the different houses have competitions against each other, they all have different events in the different accommodation areas depending on what students are looking for and stuff like that. So it is a really, really cool place to live, and they have postgrad and undergrad apartments and different structures like that. So I would highly recommend it. But if you are not staying on campus and you don't avail of the 2 weeks quarantine or self-isolation period that they're offering for non-residents also, what we recommend for students when you are traveling over is that you make sure to organise prior to coming to Ireland either self-isolation in the accommodation you're going to be staying in with organise it through the landlord. Make sure you do have somewhere to self-isolate before you arrive in Ireland. Okay, whether it's in the rented apartment you're staying in, whether you choose to do the 2 weeks with us on campus and then move off campus after that, or some other options we have is some of the local hotels in Limerick are offering self-isolation for 14 days as well, where you can live in the hotel for 14 days, but you will be restricted to just the bedroom in the hotel. Okay, and there is the Absolute, the Castletroy Park Hotel and the Travel Lodge have all given us quotes and references for people to be able to book self-isolation with them if they want to. But once again, I would highly recommend going with the accommodation office if you can. And it's on campus. You've got that extra bit of support around meal plans and around groceries being delivered and fun activities and the calls and everything like that. So those are just some of the options. But once again, for anybody living off campus, make sure that you have self-isolation quarantine for 14 days organised prior to coming to us. It's really, really important. I think you're really beginning to get the message of how many times I've said it so far. But for us to be able to maintain and be able to move to the next phase, that we need to keep the virus contained and everything like that. And that's only benefit for all of us going forward, which is really, really important. So now on to a little bit of the fun stuff, where we're going to talk a little bit about orientation. So we thrive ourselves once again on international student support, but one of the big things that we've always been very, very, very passionate about is how well we do orientation at UL, and especially for our international students. And obviously, given the circumstances with social distancing and all the other regulations that are in place, orientation is going to look a little bit different this year. So during the time you're doing your self-isolation on campus for the 14 days, we're going to offer online orientation. So what that'll do is we will introduce you slowly to different elements about the university, academically wise. We'll talk about, getting ready to open up bank accounts for when you're out of your self-isolation period. So we'll go through all the different steps of what you'll be doing once you're finished doing the self-isolation. So we'll talk about opening bank accounts. We'll talk about, getting PPS numbers to be able to get a work visa. We will talk about, getting part of clubs and societies and all those other bits. But the one bit I'm actually really looking forward to is the fun events that we're going to run virtually for you to be able to join in on. So we're going to have like virtual coffee mornings. We're going to have Netflix nights. That's one I'm really looking forward to because I'm trying to figure out what movies we're going to show. I think we might put a poll out on that one, or maybe they've decided the movie already. I'm not sure. Catherine might be able to tell us that later on, if they've chosen a movie yet or not. We have online yoga and fitness classes. We have mindfulness sessions because staying indoors for 14 days is hard. I don't know about anybody else, but I found the lockdown that we were in, quite difficult, and mindfulness is really important. So we'll have mindfulness sessions. We'll have really cool Zoom cooking classes. So learning how to cook through Zoom, which would be really nice. And then quiz nights and loads of other bits and bobs. So that's really, really good. We will have virtual meetups, and we'll be preparing you, as I said, for when your classes will start on the 28th of September, which is really important. And we'll be sending out all of this information. Sarah, I should say, not we, Sarah in the office, who's on the webinar answering questions in the background there for anyone that has asked questions, or if anyone still wants to ask questions, please do. But Sarah will be sending you out information about what orientation, the schedule, accommodation bookings and different things like that over the next couple of weeks as well. All right, so keep an eye out for those emails and make sure to keep an eye out for the sign-ups for the different events as well, which is really, really important. So when you finish your self-isolation, we go into enrolling in your program. So we're going to enroll you online, and this information will be sent to you from the main university, from our student administration body, and also from the international office. We will be sending your student cards hopefully out, or potentially have a designated area to collect them. We're still working on that finer detail at the moment, because it all depends on what phase we're on in terms of COVID-19, whether we're still in phase 3 or whether we're moved on to phase 4 and social distancing and 2 meters and all of those different regulations. So once we have final concrete on that, we'll send it over to you. You'll register online for all of your classes, okay? But that will be done on the week of the 28th of September, okay? So we will have all of that ready to go, and you'll talk with your academics and your course leaders, and you pick your modules and everything like that. And then you'll also meet your fellow classmates and different stuff during the week of the 28th of September. All right. Now, if some of you joined in on the first webinar where we talked about the academic planning, I had a little bit about Limerick City, and I'm going to talk about it again here because this is really important, really important, I find. We have really key bits of information that are going to be going out about your academic study, and please make sure to follow them. But as I said, mental health awareness and mindfulness and social activity are really important for people. So our clubs and societies are part of the student life, which is the representative body on campus for all students. They are working really hard to get all of our 80 clubs and societies ready for you to be able to join in September. So when you come to join UL, you're going to become part of the pack because Wolfie is our main mascot. So you can learn all about all of our different clubs and societies, and some of them will be functioning as normal because regulations allow that to happen. So like our kayaking club, our parachuting club might not go to France this year to parachute, but they might parachute somewhere in Ireland instead. So there's going to be loads of different things, and some of the other clubs and societies may be a little bit different. Like our Tea Appreciation Society might not be able to meet up and drink tea together, but they can do it virtually over Zoom or on MSN Teams or whichever platform. But the clubs and societies are working really hard to be able to deliver everything to you, and I recommend going onto their website, checking them out. They're really good, and they're going to have so much entertainment over the course of the year for you as well. And then when you are able to go and explore, so obviously a huge part about coming to live in Ireland and study internationally is being able to travel, and that's going to be restricted for a lot of us. So international travel once you arrive in Ireland is not, we don't recommend it. We really don't, because when you come back into Ireland, you have to self-isolate for 14 days, and you have to wonder, is a weekend in Paris worth 14 days of staying in your room, when you can easily do a weekend somewhere in Ireland or a weekend in Limerick City and learn about the city. So we have some amazing attributes in Limerick City, and I'm living here over 10 years now and I still haven't explored them all. But one of my favourite places is King's John Castle, and you can see that in the back of the picture there on the slide. That's King's John Castle. It's one of the oldest castles in Ireland. And also then you have the River Shannon. And I'm going to use kayaking again. You can kayak on the River Shannon. We have there's wonderful little places where you can go for coffee, barista coffee, for people that are big coffee drinkers. I'm a tea drinker myself. I have my tea here beside me. My housemates and my family are always slagging me about how much tea I drink, but that's an Irish thing, so you might want to get used to it. But there's loads of different things you can do. And just for example as well, you can see here, like there's fabulous walkways you can go on. We have the Limerick Milk Market that you can go in on a Saturday morning and get fresh veg and fresh fruit. We have the castle, we have kayaking, we have Thomond Park, which will hopefully be back open by the time you're all arriving in September. We have the Hunt Museum and other amazing things. If you want to learn a bit more about the tourist stuff you can do in Limerick, just visit limerick.ie. All right. Now, I'm going to open up the floor to any questions you may have around the accommodation, the self-isolation, the airport collections, orientation, or enrolment. So, or maybe Sarah and everybody has answered them all at this stage. I'm not sure. So, I think everything might be answered.
Myself and Sarah and Evie are answering questions here in the background, Niamh. So if anybody has any questions, please let us know. I know that Limerick Artist, hello Limerick Artist, you have a couple of questions there about the self-isolating. So yes, at the end of the 2-week period, you are all allowed or permitted to go out and about, but yes, maintaining social distancing and your masks when you're shopping or in public spaces. Like it is in your own country, things are changing here. and we're just following government guidelines. As soon as there's any changes to those, we will let you know. With regards, there's a question there about kayaking, parachuting and gym and other sport facilities. Are they all available after quarantine is over? As Niamh mentioned, the clubs and societies are furiously working behind the scenes to make it possible for them to get all of the clubs and societies open, but within the parameters of the government guidelines. So if they can do it safely, they will do it safely. I would imagine kayaking and the parachute will definitely be on because they're in the open air. And the gym, I'm not sure what they're doing. Evie, you might be able to answer on the gym. Do you have any kind of knowledge on that?
Yeah, so they're currently reviewing the gym facilities and hoping to have something in place by the time students arrive back on campus.
Perfect. Yes, there will be more information on immigration. So Sarah is going to be sending out all of the kind of pre-arrival emails, and I'm sure there'll be one on immigration and visa, or else you can just email international@ul.ie and they'd be very happy to answer any specific questions you might have on that. The airport collections, there's an airport collection from Shannon Airport the weekend of the 12th and 13th. So we're asking students to come, obviously if you have to self-isolate for 2 weeks, so the 2 weeks prior to classes, whenever your start is. Some people are starting a bit earlier than the 28th of September. And there will be airport collections on that weekend. If there aren't airport collections, we're more than happy to give you the directions how to get to Limerick, including the public transport. I plan to travel to Ireland by car by taking the ferry. Is this still possible considering UL's arrangement for transporting students from the airport to the campus? Well, if you're going to bring your car to Ireland, then you're perfectly and you're happy to get the ferry, then you can just drive down from Dublin or Rosslare or wherever your ferry's coming in straight to campus. But again, we're happy to give directions to you. So please just email international@ul.ie. Does anybody else want to jump in there? Anything else?
Yeah, so I can see there. So will we be given cleaning supplies and what is the laundry situation? So we will be happy to provide some cleaning supplies on campus, and we are looking at putting cleaning supplies into your apartments, but we would also recommend if you're getting grocery deliveries to get also delivered the cleaning supplies that you might need. What is the laundry situation? So in each village, we do have communal laundry facilities, and you will not be allowed to use these during the 14-day self-isolation period because that would involve leaving your apartment. If within the 14 days you do need to do laundry, we will have a service set up with a local vendor. The village management will supply you with laundry bags. You can fill it up and it will cost €15 per bag to get your laundry dry cleaned and delivered back to you. After the 14 days, then you're welcome to use the laundry facilities in your village. I've also seen a question about if you are living off campus, can you stay on campus for the self-isolation period? Yes, you can. So if you email us, it's accommodation@ul.ie. If you email us, we'll put you in touch with our reservations team, and you will have to pay for the 2 weeks, but we can accommodate you on campus for the self-isolation, even if you're not staying on campus.
There's quite a few questions actually on accommodation. So if we answer those, Niamh, will they show up in the webinar later?
Yeah, so this is being recorded, everybody, and everything that we're talking about now you'll be able to pre-watch back. So we can answer the questions and email them out to you as well. So if you give me a couple of seconds, I'll just run through a couple more because I see one around immigration and different things like that. So will there be more information about how to register for immigration before we arrive? So we covered a webinar on last Monday on immigration and visa, and that's up on our YouTube and social media channels. So if you go back and watch that, you'll be able to see the information about registering and everything that you need to know about immigration. For all the other questions, what we're going to do is we will get back to you now individually, and then we will also be emailing this out tomorrow from the international office, and we will cover all the questions that you have asked. And just one other quick one that I have here. Do you have entry fees for clubs and societies on campus or off campus? There is small fees for the clubs and societies, and each of them have a different amount that they use. So some of them might be a £5, some of them might be €20 to join, but you can get that information up on the UL website, the clubs and societies. So thank you everybody for joining in with us today. We will of course get back to you on all the questions that you have asked. For anyone that wants to hold on, we will answer them individually, and we'll also send it out by email. Before I give a nice little closing, I just want to ask, have any of my colleagues anything extra to add before we let you all head away and enjoy your evenings or start your day?
There's just one question there, I suppose I would want to tell everyone. So will we get bed sheets, pillows and blankets provided? Yes, you will. So when you arrive to your accommodation on campus, you will get everything you need to go to sleep that night with you, so you don't have to waste your valuable suitcase space or anything like that. We will provide you with bed sheets and pillows.
Fabulous. Thank you, Evie. Catherine, anything extra to add in?
No, we just to say that we recognise that this is a strange situation for everybody, and not only are you coming to study in a new country, but you're coming to study in a new country in extraordinary circumstances. However, the purpose of the webinars is to disseminate or give you information about coming to Ireland, coming to UL, but we can see that there's a whole list of questions here that we haven't answered, but we will answer them, and from that will help us create an FAQ of what you're looking for, and then we'll be able to give you that information. But in the meantime, please do reach out to us at international@ul.ie if you have queries. And Evie, is there an address for you guys that they can email directly?
Yeah, so they can email us directly at accommodation@ul.ie, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Perfect. Thank you. I think that's it then.
Fabulous. Thank you all for joining us today. Thanks to my colleagues, Evie, Catherine and Sarah, who've been there in the background answering questions. As we said, we know there's a lot of questions after coming in, and we will get back to you all and have them up on our frequently asked question, as Catherine has said, on our website. I want to thank you for joining in on the webinar series, and hopefully you have got information that will help you with planning to come to study with us this coming September. For everybody on the east side of the world, I hope you have a lovely evening or good night. To everyone that's around the Irish time zone, around Middle East and everything like that, have a lovely afternoon. And then for everyone beginning to start midway through the morning or starting to wake up over on the west side of the world, I hope you have a lovely day. Everybody keep safe and keep well, and we're looking forward to seeing you all in September in UL. Thank you very much for joining. Goodbye.
Thank you, Niamh.
Bye, everyone.